Saigon, Vietnam.
Okay. How was that trip? What was the trip like in general? Did you take your commercial Burnett all the way?
Yes, we took the commercial Burnett all the way.
Fort Campbell all the way to?
All the way.
All the way. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And since you had, what was that like for you? That was what, 12, 15 hours?
It was at least about 18 hours.
Okay.
Well, now when I say 18 hours, that wasn't all air time. We did have some, like we said, stopovers. We would stop over, like in the Philippine Islands, and etc. However long it took for the plane to refuel. But that was a long trip, long journey.
Once you got to Saigon, and obviously they checked you in on this. What did you do there? Where did you go?
When you arrive in Saigon, Vietnam, first of all, they would take you to a center which is called processing. They would process you out to different units, and they would split us up into groups. So many would go to different units. And they would try to get you out of there as rapidly as possible because your job was to replace other military personnel who was prepared to what we call deroutes. Deroutes means to rotate from the in-country to back home to the United States. And the normal tour of duty over there, the normal tour of duty, pardon me, was 1 year.
Okay. Once you left Saigon, once you got to Saigon, you processed. Where did you go in?
When we processed from Saigon, they then processed us for what we call in-country orientation. Now, when we call in-country orientation in Vietnam, it's like a job orientation. In-country orientation means we're sending you out on a reconnaissance mission. They are processing you to face the enemy. Now, the military tried as best they could to avoid contact, with the enemy as much as possible because we were young kids, just out of high school. We didn't know. We were scared to death. And so the military would try to avoid contact with the enemy. Although there were some occasions that we would come under sniper attack. And if that happened, so be it. But we did have orders not to engage unless our lives depended on it at that time. Not to engage meaning we could not engage the enemy if we came under fire.
All right. Did you ever have any actual combat against fire? Okay. So just explain that. How that actually happens.
There were many occasions where the military would send you out on different missions. This was in what we call Phan Rang. That was in the Republic of South Vietnam. Phan Rang was our in-country orientation station. And therefore, they would send us out on several missions. You know, you might go out on a morning reconnaissance mission. Then you may come in and go back out again that night on a midnight reconnaissance. Once you go out on a midnight reconnaissance, it taught us the terrain, the area. It taught us the environment. First, we had to learn to deal with the elements of the environment, mosquitoes, snakes. We had to learn the different types of snakes. The most deadliest snakes over there, which was about a little 12-inch long, called a pit viper. He didn't have fangs, he had teeth. And his mouth was not wide enough to bite with fangs, but it would gnaw. The most venomous snake in the world. If you live to count to 10, you're good. But the average lifetime from a bite from a pit viper is 10 seconds. You're dead. So we had to learn the difference of how to deal with all of these. Then the largest snakes in that area, which was the vipers, the anacondas, the large snakes. We had to learn, they taught us when you're going down a path, you may think you're stepping over a log. In essence, you're stepping over an anaconda.
Oh, wow.
So we didn't have dogs to tell us. You had to learn because we couldn't use flashlights.
Wow.
You see what I mean? So we had to learn the elements of the terrain. For young kids just coming out of high school, the most complex subject you learned was math and chemistry. Now you're learning how to kill or be killed.
Yeah.
This is a big transition.
Exactly.
And it's something that you just can't teach a man overnight. But we had to learn in a few days.
So you had on-the-job training.
We had on-the-job training in a matter of a few days. So once they train us and send us out on reconnaissance missions in Fan Ring, then from there they would send you out to different other duty stations. Now, what determined what station you were sent to would be how bad they needed you in other areas. It could be, let's go back. We're talking about 1965 now. That was when the Vietnam War was at its height, just before the fall of Saigon, a few years. This was when units were overrun by the VC. VC meaning the Viet Cong. So there were some units that we had to go and help fight up north. We might fly up north by what's called Chinook, which is the double, the Hueys, the double propellant helicopters, and we might go up to Dak To, Tuiwa, Da Nang. It just depends on where you were needed. You didn't ask any questions. If your commander come in and say, I need you, get ready, get your gear ready, we're going to send you up to Da Nang or we're going to send you up to Dak To, no questions. You were always ready to go.
You were in a fighting unit.
Fighting unit.
So did you witness any casualties?
Yes. Well, that's something that I try to forget. I don't like the fact, I do not gloat in the fact of trying to remember casualties. That's something as a young man that I, be honest with you, I hope that I had never seen. But you cannot be in country, meaning in Vietnam, and never witness casualties. Or never have to pull the trigger yourself and to take another person's life. That's something that anybody who had to do, to be totally honest with you, that's something that we never go in.
Not too much, but what kind of emotions doing that when you were about 18 now? Or?
Going on 18, yeah.
So what kind of emotions were involved in like just a flight or fight kind of situation you were in?
You're scared. You're constantly scared because the greatest fear we had was snipers. You never know when a bullet would hit you. Snipers was our greatest enemy, and they were real sharp shooters. I mean, anytime you could have on a steel pot and the bullet could still penetrate a steel pot, they knew where to hit you. They knew the vulnerable points. And mind you, now in Iraq, our military is now being issued bulletproof vests. We had no such thing. So any place you were hit by the weapons that the Viet Cong was used could, in most cases, be a deadly shot. So snipers was our greatest enemy.
So when did you start rotating back home? Right around what time?
A year, almost a year later, because the tour of duty is a year. So about a year later.
What would that have been? What month?
I was released from service in June, so March, somewhere around March. March of 1967.
So when you started, when the time started getting short, I know that's what they call it now, it started getting short, what was the process that was getting you closer and closer to home?
When you're in country, in Vietnam, you're constantly thinking of the days. Everybody